The medical ship Eternal Grace moved slowly through the dark space of the outer veil. Its white hull showed the red cross symbol that every species in the galaxy knew well. This symbol meant peace. It meant help. It meant that the people inside this ship would never hurt anyone. They only came to heal. Captain Una Park stood on the bridge and watched the stars pass by. She was 52 years old, with gray hair tied back in a simple knot. Her face showed the lines of someone who had seen much suffering and had tried to stop it. She had been a healer for 30 years now. Before that, in her youth, she had seen the last days of the Terran Titans. She remembered the war. She remembered the fear. She was glad those days were over. "Captain, we are 2 hours from the colony worlds," said the navigation officer. Una nodded. 3 colony worlds in the outer veil had been hit by a terrible plague. Thousands were dying. The Eternal Grace carried medicine, doctors, and hope. They also carried 2,000 refugees they had picked up along the way. Most of them were children and old people. The sick, the weak, the ones who needed protection most. Dr. Tae Kim walked onto the bridge. He was a thin man with kind eyes and gentle hands. In his 40 years of life, he had never hurt another living being. He believed that all life was sacred. He had saved thousands of patients from dozens of different species. To him, there was no difference between a human child and an alien child. Pain was pain. Life was life. "The refugees are settled," Tae said. "The children are scared, but Nurse Hana is keeping them calm. She has a gift with young ones." Una smiled. Hana Choi was only 25, fresh from medical training on Earth. This was her first deep space mission. She had been nervous when she came aboard, but she had proven herself quickly. The children loved her. She sang to them, told them stories, and made them laugh even in the darkest times. "Good," Una said. "We will reach the colonies soon. Then we can truly begin our work." But fate had other plans. The alarm came without warning. Red lights flashed across the bridge. The navigation officer's face went pale. "Captain, ships incoming. 15 warships. They are surrounding us." Una felt her heart go cold. "Identify them." "Keth Dominion, Captain. It's the Keth." The Keth Dominion was a growing empire on the edge of known space. They were conquerors. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they did not need. But surely, Una thought, surely they would not attack a medical ship. The Galactic Mercy Accord protected all humanitarian vessels. Every civilization in the galaxy had signed it, even the Keth. The main screen flickered and a face appeared. It was Lord Vorn, Supreme Commander of the Keth military forces. His skin was dark gray and his eyes were like black stones. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Human vessel," Vorn said. "You will surrender your cargo and passengers. They will be taken for processing." Una stood straight. Her voice did not shake. "Lord Vorn, this is a medical ship protected by the Galactic Mercy Accord. We carry refugees, medicine, and healing supplies. We are not a military target. You cannot legally stop us." Vorn laughed. It was an ugly sound. The Accord means nothing to me. Humanity has no teeth. You gave up your warriors. You gave up your weapons. You are soft prey now. I will take what I want, and no one will stop me." "Lord Vorn, I am asking you to reconsider. There are children on this ship. There are sick and elderly people. They have done nothing to you." "Their weakness is their crime," Vorn said. "Surrender now, or I will take them by force." Lieutenant Dae-Yoon stepped forward. He was the only security officer on the ship, an old man of 70 who had served in the last Titan Wars. His body was weak now, but his eyes still held fire. He had hoped to never see war again. But he knew what was coming. "Captain," he said quietly, "they will not listen to reason. They see our mercy as weakness." Una closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them and looked at Vorn. "I will not surrender innocent lives to you. The Mercy Accord stands. We will not resist with violence, but we will not cooperate with cruelty." Vorn's smile disappeared. "Then you have chosen death." The screen went dark. Seconds later, the first shots hit the Eternal Grace. The ship shook like a toy in a giant's hand. Explosions ripped through the hull. People screamed. The lights went out, then came back in emergency red. Yuna grabbed the command chair to keep from falling. "Hull breach on Deck 7, someone shouted. "Engines are down." "We're losing life support in the refugee section." Yuna ran. She did not think about herself. She thought only of the 2,000 souls depending on her. She reached the refugee deck and found chaos. Smoke filled the air. Fires burned. And in the middle of it all, Dr. Tae Kim was carrying children away from a cracked wall that was about to collapse. "Tae!" Yuna screamed. "Get out of there!" Tae looked at her. He smiled sadly. Then he pushed the last child into a nurse's arms and turned back for one more. The wall came down. The explosion threw Yuna against the floor. When she looked up, Dr. Tae Kim was gone, buried under metal and fire, dead. The kindest man she had ever known. Dead because he could not stop saving lives, even at the cost of his own. Nurse Hana appeared beside her, tears streaming down her face. "Captain, what do we do?" Yuna could not answer. The ship was dying. Her people were dying. And no help would come. But in the security room, Lieutenant Day crawled toward a console. Blood ran down his face. His left arm was broken. But he had one duty left, one final service to perform. With shaking fingers, he entered a code that had not been used in 300 years. A code that was supposed to be forgotten. A code that existed for only one reason, when humanity faced darkness so complete that only the old warriors could answer. He pressed send. "Titan Protocol. Crimson Dawn." The message flew across space at impossible speed, past colonies, past stations, past the peaceful worlds of human civilization, all the way to Earth, all the way to a mountain range where something ancient slept. Lieutenant Day died with his hand on the console, but his message had been received. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, lights flickered on in chambers that had been dark for 3 centuries. Machines hummed to life. Ice began to melt in cryotanks the size of buildings, and in those tanks, hearts that had been still for 300 years began to beat again. The Titans were waking. And the galaxy would remember why it had once feared humanity. The Titan vaults had been silent for 300 years. They lay deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, hidden from the world above. Most people on Earth had forgotten they existed. The wars were over. The warriors were no longer needed. Humanity had chosen peace. But the vaults had not forgotten their purpose. When the Crimson Dawn signal arrived, ancient computers woke from their long sleep. Power flowed through cables that had waited in darkness for centuries. Lights turned on in endless corridors carved from solid rock. Machines checked their systems and found everything ready. Everything had been maintained. Everything was prepared. The first cryo chamber opened with a hiss of frozen air. Inside lay Admiral Sung Lee, the last High Commander of the Terran Titans. He had been 45 years old when he entered cryo-sleep. He had gray hair at his temples and a scar across his left cheek from a battle he had fought long ago. His face, even in sleep, showed no softness. This was a man who had learned to turn off his heart when duty required it. Sung opened his eyes. They were dark and calm, like deep water. He did not panic. He did not ask questions. He simply sat up, looked at the medical officer standing beside him, and spoke 3 words. "Show me everything." 1,000 Titans woke that day. They were the best soldiers humanity had ever created, not through genetic changes or machine parts, but through training, experience, and will. They had fought in wars that shook the galaxy. They had defeated enemies that outnumbered them 100 to 1. And they had agreed to sleep, to give humanity a chance at peace. Now peace had failed, and they were awake. General Bora Jin was the second to rise. She was a tall woman with short black hair and muscles like steel cables. During the Great Wars, she had earned the name Storm of Proxima for liberating an entire colony by herself when her unit was destroyed. She had killed 87 enemy soldiers in one day using only a combat knife after her weapons ran out of power. The enemy had learned to fear the sound of her breathing. Commander Hyun Kang came next. He was thin and quiet, with glasses that seemed strange on a warrior's face, but his mind was his weapon. He had won battles that computers said were impossible. He saw patterns where others saw chaos. Admiral Sung trusted him more than anyone else in the fleet. Last came Specialist Nari Oh. She was small, barely 5 feet tall, with a face that looked young and innocent. This was her greatest weapon. She was a shadow who could walk through any security. She had once killed an enemy emperor in his own throne room, passing through 500 guards without being seen. No one suspected her. No one ever did. Admiral Sung gathered his commanders in the briefing room. The walls were covered with screens showing information from across the galaxy, 300 years of history compressed into data streams. "The galaxy forgot us," Sung said. His voice was low and steady. "They thought we were gone forever. Some species do not even believe we existed. They think we are myths, legends, ghost stories." "And the Keth?" General Bora asked. Sung pressed a button. The screens changed to show footage from the Eternal Grace, the attack, the explosions, the children screaming, Dr. Tae Kim dying to save others, Lord Vorn laughing as he ordered the destruction of a mercy ship. The Titans watched in silence. Their faces showed nothing, but their eyes grew harder with every second. "The Keith Dominion," Sung said. "They have grown powerful while we slept. They have conquered 12 systems. They believe humanity is weak because we chose peace. They attacked a medical ship. They killed healers. They took prisoners, including children, for what they call processing. We do not know what that means, but intelligence suggests it is not pleasant." Commander Hyun studied the tactical data. "Their fleet is large but poorly organized. Their technology is advanced but predictable. They have never faced a real enemy. They conquer weak species and avoid strong ones." "They have never faced us," Specialist Nari said softly. "No," Sung agreed. "They have not." He turned to face his commanders. 300 years had passed, but they were still his family. They had bled together, fought together, and nearly died together more times than he could count. "I will give them one chance," Sung said. "I will tell them to release the prisoners and surrender their commander for justice. They will refuse. They will think it is a bluff. They will learn otherwise." General Bora smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Rules of engagement?" Sung was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice was like ice. "They attacked a ship of mercy. They killed a doctor who had never hurt anyone. They took children. There will be no rules. There will be no mercy. We will not negotiate. We will not accept surrender from units that participated in the attack. We will remove the Keth military from existence. Every ship, every base, every soldier who raised a weapon against innocence. When we are finished, the galaxy will remember why they once feared the word Terran." The commanders nodded. They understood. This was not revenge. Revenge was emotional. This was something colder. This was erasure. The Titan fleet launched from hidden bases across Earth and its moon. 15 capital ships, each one larger than anything the galaxy had seen in 3 centuries. 200 support vessels. Weapons that used science the other species thought was impossible. shield systems that could survive stars exploding, engines that moved faster than light in ways that broke the known laws of physics. The Titans had not just slept for 300 years. They had prepared. Their technology had continued to advance, maintained by automated systems, improved by artificial minds. The ships that launched that day were 3 centuries ahead of anything in the known galaxy. As the fleet moved toward Keith Space, Admiral Sung recorded a message. It would be broadcast to every system, every planet, every ship in the galaxy. This is Admiral Sung Lee of the Terran Titan Fleet. 300 years ago, humanity chose peace. We put away our weapons. We became healers and teachers. We thought the galaxy had grown beyond cruelty. We were wrong. The Keth Dominion has attacked a human medical ship. They have killed doctors. They have taken children. We offered kindness, and they answered with blood. Now we answer. To the Keth Dominion, you have 72 hours to release all human prisoners and surrender Lord Vorn to Terran justice. If you do not comply, we will not negotiate. We will not accept apologies. We will simply remove you. To the rest of the galaxy, watch closely. Remember what you see, and remember this. Our mercy ships will fly again after this is over. We will return to peace. But never, ever mistake our kindness for weakness again. The Titans are awake, and we do not forget. The message ended. The fleet continued forward. In Keth space, Lord Vorn received the broadcast. He watched it twice. Then he laughed. Old men and old ships, he said to his officers. Ghost stories and empty threats. Humanity has been soft for 300 years. They cannot simply become warriors again. He ordered his fleet to prepare for battle. He was certain of victory. He was wrong. Captain Una Park sat in a dark cell on Lord Vorn's flagship. Her hands were bound. Her face was bruised. But her eyes still held fire. They had beaten her. They had questioned her. They had tried to break her spirit. They had failed. She thought of Dr. Tae Kim dying to save children. She thought of Lieutenant Day sending his final message. She thought of the 2,000 refugees who had trusted her to keep them safe. Some were dead now. The rest were scattered across Keth prison ships, waiting for whatever horrible fate the Dominion planned for them. But she also thought of something else, something that gave her hope. The Titan Protocol, Crimson Dawn. If that message had reached Earth, then help was coming. Help that the Keth could not imagine. Lord Vorn visited her cell that evening. He stood on the other side of the energy barrier, looking down at her with disgust. Your people sent a message, he said. Some old man named Sung Lee. He threatens us with ghosts and legends, the Terran Titans. He laughed. Children's stories. Your great warriors died 300 years ago. Una looked up at him. She smiled despite her broken lip. They did not die. They slept, and you just woke them up. Vorn's laugh faded. Something in her voice disturbed him, but he pushed the feeling away. Humans were weak. Everyone knew this. They had given up war. They had become soft. In 12 hours, Vorn said, I will execute 10 of your people on live broadcast to show the galaxy that human threats mean nothing. Then I will begin processing the rest. Your children will serve the Dominion well. He turned and walked away. Una watched him go. Then she closed her eyes and began to plan. In another part of the ship, Nurse Hana Choi sat with a group of human prisoners. They were mostly children and old people, the survivors of the eternal grace. They were scared, they were hungry, but they were not broken. Hana had taken charge without being asked. She organized food sharing. She kept the children calm with stories and songs. She tended to the wounded with whatever supplies she could find. She was only 25 years old, but she had become the heart of the survivors. Will help come? A little boy asked her. His name was Jun, and he was only 7. Hana held his hand. Yes, she said. Help is coming. We just have to be strong a little longer. She did not know if it was true, but she believed it. She had to believe it. Far away, in the darkness between stars, the Titan fleet moved like ghosts. Admiral Sung did not attack immediately. That was not the Titan way. First came the shadow phase. First came fear. Specialist Nari-O led the first teams into Keth space. They were small groups, only 5 or 6 Titans each, moving in ships that could not be detected by any known sensor. Their mission was simple: make the enemy afraid. Supply convoys disappeared. One day they were there, the next day they were gone. No wreckage, no distress signals. Just empty space where ships used to be. Communication relays went silent. Keth commanders tried to contact their outposts and received only static. When they sent ships to investigate, those ships disappeared too. Patrol fleets reported strange readings on their sensors. Ships that appeared and vanished in seconds. Shadows that moved against the stars. Whispers on communication channels that said only one word: remember. Fear spread through the Keth military like a disease. Soldiers talked of ghost ships crewed by the dead. Officers demanded answers that their commanders could not give. Everyone felt watched. Everyone felt hunted. Lord Vorn received report after report of these incidents. He grew angry. Then he grew worried. Then he grew afraid, though he would never admit it. "Find them!" he shouted at his admirals. "These are tricks, illusions. Find these human ships and destroy them." But his admirals could not find what they could not see. 60 hours after the ultimatum was sent, Specialist Nari delivered a message directly to Lord Vorn's flagship. Not through communication channels, not through broadcast. She simply appeared in his private quarters while he slept and left a small device on his pillow. When Vorn woke and activated the device, Admiral Sung's face appeared. 12 hours remain, Sung said. His voice was calm, empty, without emotion. You have executed 10 of our people. This was unwise. Every drop of human blood will be repaid 1,000 times. Surrender now, and your death will be quick. Continue to resist, and you will watch your empire burn before we allow you to die. Vorn smashed the device against the wall. His hands were shaking. "How?" he screamed at his security chief. "How did they get inside my ship, inside my room?" The security chief had no answer. 100 guards protected the Supreme Commander's quarters. The best sensors watched every approach. And somehow a human had walked through all of it like it was not there. Lord Vorn made his choice. He would not show weakness. He would not surrender. He would prove that the Keth Dominion feared nothing. He broadcast another message to the galaxy. In it, he stood before the human prisoners. He selected 10 more, including 3 children, and he executed them while the galaxy watched. "This is my answer to human threats," he declared. "We do not bow to ghosts. We do not fear the past. The Terran Titans are dead, and soon all of humanity will join them." The broadcast ended. Across Keth space, soldiers cheered. Their leader was strong. Their leader was fearless. Victory was certain. On the Titan flagship Eternal Judgment, Admiral Sung watched the broadcast. He saw the children die. He saw Vorn smile. He saw the pride in the enemy's eyes. His face did not change. His voice did not rise. He simply turned to Commander Hyun and spoke 4 words. "Begin Phase 2. Everything." Commander Hyun nodded. He had prepared for this. The entire fleet had prepared for this. Hundreds of ships moved into position. Thousands of weapons powered up. The shadow game was over. Now came the fire. In her cell, Captain Yuna felt the ship shake. Then she heard something she had not heard in days. Keth soldiers screaming, not in anger, in fear. The energy barrier on her cell flickered and died. A figure appeared in the doorway. It was a human woman, small and quiet, with a face that looked almost innocent. "Captain Park," the woman said, "I am Specialist Nari-O, Terran Titan Special Operations. The fleet is engaging the enemy now. I am here to help you lead a prisoner uprising." Yuna stood. Her legs were weak, but her spirit was strong. "How many Titans are on this ship?" Nari smiled. "Just me, but I brought weapons for the prisoners, and the Keth are going to be very busy very soon." Somewhere in the distance, explosions shook the ship. The lights flickered. Alarms screamed. "The Titans are here," Nari said. "It's time to remind the galaxy what that means." Yuna took the weapon Nari offered her. For 30 years she had been a healer. She had never wanted to hurt anyone, but some things were worth fighting for. She thought of Dr. Tae Kim. She thought of the children who had died. "Yes," she said, "it is time." The Keth home system had never seen war. For generations they had been the conquerors, never the conquered. Their fleets went out and brought back victory. Their enemies surrendered or died. No one dared attack them in their own space, until now. The Titan fleet appeared without warning. One moment, sensors showed empty space. The next moment, 15 massive ships hung in the darkness like angels of death. They were larger than anything the Keth had ever built. Their hulls were black, marked only by the white cross of Earth and the words Terran Titan Fleet in letters that glowed like cold fire. Admiral Keth Voss, commander of the Home Defense Fleet, stared at his screens in disbelief. His fleet had 200 ships. The humans had only 15 capital ships. The math should have been simple, but something was wrong. The human ships were not moving like normal vessels. They were too fast, too precise, and when his sensors tried to scan them, they returned readings that made no sense. "All ships, engage!" Voss ordered. "Destroy the human fleet!" 200 Keth warships opened fire. Thousands of energy beams crossed the void. Missiles flew by the hundreds. It was enough firepower to crack a small moon. The Titan ships did not even slow down. Energy shields that should have been impossible absorbed the attack like it was nothing. The human ships kept coming, silent and unstoppable. Then they returned fire. Admiral Voss watched the first Keth battleship die. One shot, a single beam of white light touched the ship, and it simply came apart. Not in an explosion, not in fire. It just disintegrated, breaking into pieces like sand. "What?" he whispered. "What are they?" In 90 seconds, the Titans destroyed 40 Keth warships. Not damaged, destroyed, removed from existence. The Keth fleet tried to retreat, but the human ships were everywhere. Every escape route was blocked. Every attempt to flee was met with death. On the Eternal Judgment, Admiral Sung watched the battle without emotion. His commanders reported victory after victory, but he did not celebrate. There was nothing to celebrate. This was not a battle. It was an execution. "Commander Hyun," he said, "status report." Hyun studied his screens. "The Home Defense Fleet is at 40% strength and falling. They cannot penetrate our shields. They cannot outrun our ships. They cannot call for help because we have blocked all communications. At current rate, they will be destroyed within 2 hours." "Continue," Sung said. "No prisoners from military vessels. They knew what they were doing when they attacked our medical ship." Across the system, the same scene repeated. Keth ships fought and died. Some tried to surrender, broadcasting pleas for mercy. The Titans did not respond. Admiral Sung had given his orders. There would be no mercy for those who had shown none. General Bora Jin led the ground assault on the occupied worlds. The Keth had taken planets from weaker species, enslaving the populations. Now Bora came to free them. Her transport ships landed on the first world as Keth orbital defenses fell to the fleet above. She led her Titans out of the ships and into the enemy base. The Keth soldiers had heard stories of the Terran Titans. They had laughed at those stories. They were not laughing now. Bora moved through the base like a storm. Her armor was heavier than anything the Keth had seen, but she moved in it like it weighed nothing. Her weapons cut through Keth shields like paper, and when her weapons ran empty, she used her hands. The Keth soldiers had been trained for years. They were professional warriors. They broke against the Titans in minutes. One Keth commander tried to use slaves as shields, holding them at gunpoint and threatening to kill them if the Titans advanced. Bora did not hesitate. A single shot from her sidearm took off his hand before he could pull the trigger. She was beside him in an instant, her armored fist ending his life. "We do not negotiate with those who hurt innocents," she told the freed slaves. "You are safe now." Planet after planet fell to the Titans. Keth military bases were destroyed. Prison camps were liberated. Slaves who had suffered for years looked up at their rescuers with tears in their eyes. "Who are you?" they asked. "We are humanity," the Titans answered. "We are here to help." In orbit above the Keth homeworld, Lord Vorn's flagship trembled under attack. The vessel was the largest in the Dominion, armed with weapons that could destroy cities. It meant nothing against the Titans. Inside the ship, chaos ruled. Explosions rocked the corridors, fires burned in every section, and somewhere in the lower decks, the human prisoners were fighting back. Captain Yuna led the uprising. Specialist Nari had given weapons to every prisoner who could hold one. Even the old and the weak joined the fight. They had nothing left to lose. Nurse Hana protected the children, keeping them safe in a secured room while the battle raged. But when a group of Keth soldiers broke through, she picked up a fallen weapon and stood in their way. "You will not touch them," she said. She had never fired a weapon in her life. Her hands were shaking, but she did not move. And when the soldiers raised their guns, Hana fired first. 2 soldiers fell before the others ran. Hana stood there, breathing hard, looking at what she had done. She had taken lives, she who had sworn to save them. Then she looked at the children behind her. Little June was holding the hand of a smaller girl, both of them crying but alive. Alive because Hana had protected them. "It's okay," she told them softly. "It's over. You're safe." On the bridge of the flagship, Lord Vorn watched his empire die. His fleet was destroyed, his armies were broken, his people were being conquered by the very species he had called weak. "How?" he screamed. "They were peaceful. They were soft. They gave up war." His officers had no answer. They were too busy trying to survive. The bridge door exploded inward. Titan Marines poured through, their black armor marked with blood. They cut down the guards in seconds. Then they stopped, weapons raised, waiting. Captain Yuna walked through them. She was wounded, she was tired, but she was standing, and in her hand was a weapon pointed at Lord Vorn. Vorn backed against his command chair. For the first time in his life, he knew true fear. "Please," he said. "I surrender. I will give you everything. Just let me live." Yuna looked at him. She thought of Dr. Tae Kim. She thought of the children Vorn had executed on broadcast. She thought of all the pain and death this creature had caused. Her finger tightened on the trigger. One shot. That was all it would take. Justice for everyone who had died. Revenge for everyone who had suffered. But then she thought of what Tae would say. She thought of the oaths she had taken as a healer. She thought of the kind of person she wanted to be. She lowered the weapon. "No," she said. "We are not like you. That is why we will always win." She turned to the Titan Marines. "Take him. He will face trial. He will face justice. But we do not murder prisoners. We are human. We are better than this." Lord Vorn was dragged away, screaming about mercy and second chances. He received neither comfort nor response. Admiral Sung received the report that Vorn had been captured. He nodded once. The battle was over. The Keth Dominion had fallen in 96 hours, not because the Titans were cruel, but because they were efficient. Because they did not hesitate. Because 3 centuries of peace had not made them weak. It had made them patient. "Send word to all Titan units," Sung said. "Secure all prisoners. Provide medical care to the wounded, regardless of species. Begin humanitarian operations on freed worlds." Commander Hyun looked surprised. "Sir, after what they did?" Sung turned to face him. "We are not conquerors. We do not punish civilians for the crimes of their leaders. The Keth military is destroyed. The war is over. Now we show the galaxy who we truly are. Warriors who choose mercy when the battle ends. That is what makes us different. That is what makes us human." The fleet stopped firing. The ships went quiet, and across the fallen Dominion, the Titans began to heal what they had broken. The war was over, but the lesson was just beginning. The war had lasted 96 hours. In that time, the most powerful military force in the outer regions had been completely destroyed. Worlds had been freed. Prisoners had been rescued. And one name had burned itself into the memory of every species in the galaxy: Terran Titan. The survivors of the Eternal Grace were the first to return home. Their ship was gone, but they were alive. Most of them, at least. Too many had died. Dr. Tae Kim, Lieutenant Day. The 10 prisoners Lord Vorn had executed, the children who never got to grow up. Captain Una Park stood at the window of the transport ship and watched Earth grow larger. She had left as a healer. She was returning as something else. She was not sure what. A survivor, a fighter, a woman who had almost killed a man in cold blood. Nurse Hana Choi sat beside her. The young woman had aged years in the past weeks. She had seen death. She had caused death. She had protected children with a weapon in her hands. She would never be the same. "Do you regret it?" Yuna asked quietly. "What you did on the ship?" Hana was silent for a long moment. "No," she finally said. "I hate that I had to do it. I wish there had been another way. But if I had not fired, those soldiers would have killed the children. Sometimes—" She took a deep breath. "Sometimes healing means protecting, and sometimes protecting means fighting." Yuna nodded. "Tai would understand. He died protecting people. He would not want us to feel guilty for doing the same." They sat together in silence, watching the stars pass by. On the Keth homeworld, Lord Vorn faced trial. It was not a human trial. The Galactic Council, representatives from every major species in known space, sat in judgment. The crimes were too great for any single nation to judge. The evidence was shown: the attack on the medical ship, the executions of prisoners, the plans for processing human captives, the enslaved populations on a dozen worlds, crime after crime after crime. Vorn tried to defend himself. He spoke of strength and weakness. He spoke of the natural order of the galaxy. He spoke of how humanity had invited attack by becoming soft. No one listened. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all charges. The sentence was death. As they led him away, Vorn screamed one last time. "This is not over. You cannot stop us all. The galaxy belongs to the strong." Admiral Sung watched from the gallery. His face showed nothing. When Vorn was gone, he stood and walked to the podium. The council fell silent. Every representative, from the smallest colony to the largest empire, waited to hear what the human would say. Sung looked out at them. He saw fear in their eyes. He understood it. The Titans had just destroyed a major power in less than 4 days. Any of the species in this room could be next. They were wondering if humanity would become the new conquerors. 300 years ago, Sung began, humanity made a choice. We had won our wars. We had proven ourselves the strongest military force in the galaxy. We could have conquered everything. We could have built an empire that stretched from one end of space to the other. He paused, letting the words sink in. We chose differently. We put away our weapons. We froze our warriors. We became healers, teachers, and friends. We flew mercy ships to plague worlds. We sent doctors to dying colonies. We shared our technology freely and asked nothing in return. We believed that the galaxy could be better. We believed that kindness could overcome cruelty." His voice grew harder. "The Keth proved us wrong. They attacked a ship of mercy. They killed healers. They took children. They mistook our compassion for weakness. This was a mistake that many have made throughout history. It was a mistake that will never be made again." He turned slowly, making sure every representative saw his eyes. "The Titans returned to their vaults today. Our medical ships will fly again tomorrow. We will continue to heal the sick, feed the hungry, and help those in need. We will be kind. We will be generous. We will be everything that we have been for 300 years. His voice dropped to almost a whisper, but every being in the chamber heard him clearly. "But remember what you have seen. Remember what happens when you mistake our mercy for weakness. The Titans sleep lightly. We wake when innocents cry out. And when we wake, we do not stop until the threat is ended. Not defeated, ended, completely and forever." He stepped back from the podium. "We choose peace. We choose compassion. We choose to be healers. But we can become something else in an instant. That is what it means to be human. We contain both, the gentlest caretakers and the most terrible warriors. Never forget which face appears when you harm our children." The chamber remained silent for a long time after he finished. No one spoke. No one moved. They simply sat and remembered what they had witnessed. A military force that had terrified the outer regions for generations, erased in 4 days, by humans, by the soft, peaceful species that flew medical ships and sent doctors to dying worlds. The galaxy would not forget. 2 months later, Captain Una Park took command of a new ship. It was called the Eternal Grace II, built to honor the vessel that had been destroyed. It was larger than the original, with better medical facilities and more room for refugees. Its hull was white, marked with the red cross that meant mercy. Nurse Hana Choi stood beside her as Chief Medical Officer. She had earned the promotion. She had earned everything. "First mission?" Hana asked. Una smiled. "A colony in the Rim sector. Disease outbreak. They need doctors. Like old times. Like old times." The ship launched into the stars, carrying medicine and hope. Behind them, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. Somewhere beneath its mountains, the Titans slept again, waiting, ready. On colonies throughout the galaxy, beings of every species watched the human medical ship pass by. Some of them remembered the stories their parents had told them. Ghost ships that appeared from nowhere. Warriors who could not be stopped. The Terran Titans who had once made empires tremble. Those stories were no longer legends. They were warnings. A child on a distant world tugged at her mother's hand. "Mother, are humans dangerous?" Her mother looked up at the white ship with the red cross, flying on its mission of mercy. She thought about what she had seen on the news, the fall of the Keth Dominion, the trial of Lord Vorn, the speech by Admiral Sung. "Yes," she said finally, "and no. They are healers. They help people. They are kind. Then why did they destroy the Keth?" Her mother knelt down to look her daughter in the eyes. "Because the Keth hurt innocent people. The humans were kind for 300 years. They healed the sick. They saved lives. They gave up war because they wanted the galaxy to be peaceful. But when someone hurt their children, when someone attacked their healers, they remembered how to fight. And they were very, very good at it." The child looked up at the ship disappearing into the stars. "So they can be both? Kind and scary?" "Yes. That is what makes them human. They choose to be kind, but they can always choose differently. The galaxy learned that lesson. We should never forget it." The medical ship Eternal Grace II continued on its journey, carrying hope to those who needed it. Its crew worked through the night, saving lives, easing pain, bringing light to dark places. They were healers, They were helpers. They were human. And somewhere, sleeping in the cold beneath ancient mountains, the Titans dreamed of peace. They dreamed of a galaxy where they would never be needed again, where kindness would always be enough, where children would never cry out for warriors to save them. It was a beautiful dream, but they slept lightly, just in case.